Okay, so picture this. You could actually reduce your risk of getting tinnitus. That super annoying ringing in your ears,
Yeah,
just by changing what you eat. Pretty wild,
it
right?
really is.
So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
Diving into today.
We're doing a deep dive into this super interesting 30-year study.
Yeah.
It's from Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. And honestly, it might make you rethink your next seafood order. I'm serious.
Right.
I know a lot of people just think, oh, tinnitus, that's just something you get when you get older.
Right.
Or if you listen to, like, really loud music all the time.
Exactly.
But what if I told you what we eat could actually play a role?
That's what this study really suggests.
So what's the big takeaway here?
Well, this study looked at over 73,000 people
Wow,
and tracked their fish consumption habits over 30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. And what they found is that the folks who ate more than 2 servings of fish per week
Okay.
were 25% less likely to develop tinnitus.
25% is huge.
It is. That's a pretty significant drop. And even having just 1 serving a week showed a 13% reduction.
So even a little bit helps.
Seems like it.
Okay, so I'm already thinking fish tacos for dinner, but I have a feeling it's not that simple.
You're right. It's not just any fish.
Uh-oh. Here's where things get interesting.
This is where it gets really fascinating. So light meat fish, things like cod and halibut,
Okay,
even shellfish, those were all linked to a lower risk of tinnitus.
got it. So shrimp scampi is still on the menu.
It could be. But here's the surprising part. Dark meat fish, like your salmon and swordfish, those actually seem to increase the risk.
Wait, salmon. The, like, poster child for heart-healthy eating.
I know, right? It's a real head scratcher.
It is. I mean, we're always told to load up on those omega-3s.
Right, and that's the thing. Researchers are still trying to figure out what's going on here. Could it be something to do with the types of omega-3 fatty acids found in different fish? We know omega-3s can help reduce inflammation.
Right.
And inflammation can contribute to hearing damage.
So maybe certain types of omega-3s are better at protecting our ears.
Exactly. Maybe. It's definitely one of the big questions. Or, it could be something else entirely. Like, what about mercury levels?
Oh, yeah, good point. Some fish, especially those bigger ones higher up on the food chain, they can accumulate more mercury, right?
Exactly. And we know mercury can be toxic. So could that be playing a role? It's definitely a possibility. We really need more research to understand all these connections.
For sure. Speaking of things that need more investigation, what about fish oil supplements? I mean, if eating fish can help, you'd think taking a fish oil pill would be even better.
You'd think so, right? But this study found something pretty unexpected.
I know. This part really surprised me.
They found that fish oil supplements were actually linked to a higher risk of tinnitus.
Higher? That just seems backwards.
I know. It's almost like our bodies are saying, hey, I want my nutrients in their whole food form, not in this concentrated capsule.
Give me the whole fish, please.
Right. It really highlights the fact that we can't just isolate nutrients and expect the same benefits.
Makes sense. Our bodies are complex. And, this reminds me of some other research we've talked about before. Didn't we see some studies suggesting that things like high calcium intake, too much iron, even a lot of saturated fat, those were all linked to an increased risk of tinnitus, too?
Yeah, absolutely. Those studies were definitely pointing in that direction.
So this new research kind of adds to that, right?
It really does. It all points to the fact that there's a definite link between our diet and our hearing health.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're starting to see some patterns emerge.
Yeah, it's like we're putting together a giant puzzle. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this study focused specifically on female nurses in the U.S.
Right.
So more research is needed to see if these findings apply to everyone. Men, women, different cultures, different diets. It's a good starting point, though. Definitely is something to think about.
Absolutely. And you know what I think is so fascinating about all of this? If certain types of fish can impact our risk of tinnitus, what other foods might be affecting our hearing in ways we haven't even thought about yet?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about
It
it.
really is. There's a whole world of culinary exploration ahead of us, and not just for our taste buds, but for our health, too.
So for everyone listening, what's the big takeaway from today's deep dive? Well, adding more light meat fish and shellfish to your diet might be a good idea.
Yeah.
But of course, always talk to your doctor before making any big changes to your diet.
Right. That's important.
And maybe hold off on those fish oil supplements for now.
Yeah. Maybe stick to the whole food sources for a while and see how you feel. And next time you're enjoying a meal,
Yes.
take a moment to think about it. What other links between our diets and our senses might we be overlooking? It's a pretty delicious thought, don't you think?
It is. Food for thought. literally. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive,
Always a pleasure.
and we'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.